Alright, don't let me scare you.
There you go. Awesome.
Don't let me scare you.
Okay.
Get out of the way, just
Yeah, get out of the way, Bob. Okay, can you see us all?
Greetings from Texas.
Yes. Okay, I'm going to do a quick introduction and then we'll just let you do the talking, okay?
Alright, I'll shut up.
So this is Gayle Nix Jackson's latest book. It's called Pieces of the Puzzle, an anthology, and it contains, I've still got 100 pages to read. I couldn't finish the whole book, sadly, but it's a very good book actually, and it's got 9 chapters in it, of which 5 are written by her, and there's 4 others, and I've got to think about, there's Chris Scully, who did a piece on the timeline of the actual Nix film as such. That's the last chapter. It's actually the first chapter I read. And then there is a very good chapter by Steve Rowe. Now, Steve Rowe is actually, well, classed as a lone nutter, because he believes that Oswald did it. But at the same time, he admits, like, I don't have the answer for everything. So he actually writes a very good piece, and he delves really deep into Texas, especially Dallas, about right-wing groups, KKK, Murchison, Minutemen, you name it, anything right-wing related and so forth, and what the political situation and the social situation was in Dallas at that time, just before, during and just after. I thought it was very insightful, very good chapter. Then the first chapter is by a gentleman, I forgot his first name, his last name is Wagenford, and he worked at Time Life, and he writes about that period of time when Time Life, can you hear me?
Why?
Can you hear me?
Me?
Yeah? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
My daughter.
No, not to worry. And he basically writes about the period of Time Life, when Time Life were actually acquiring all the images and the films as such. I'm doing some research on the other side of that, because I know of a guy called Holland McCombs who worked in Dallas. He worked for Dallas Morning News and also for Time Life. And I got hold of his archives, and his archives basically show contracts of most of the movie makers and the photographers that were there, where they basically purchased all the footage as such, or licensing as such. And now I'm forgetting one. I've got to cheat. And the 4th person, am I missing something? Oh, the Gunrunner is by Doug Campbell. And Doug Campbell, as you know, has got his own radio show. And he writes about, he's done a lot of work on the guys like Lauren Hall and William Seymour and all these guys like Jerry Patrick Hammond, these people that were in Dallas and in just before and just after as such. That by itself is also quite interesting. And then of course we've got Gayle, and Gayle does the other 5 chapters. They're actually in the center of the book, and they are actually a lot about General Edwin Walker and all the affiliation and the people that are actually involved as such. So I thought it was really interesting, because it went into certain avenues where I thought, yeah, I know that, this, that, and the other, but at the same time they also came up with new stuff, and I thought, yeah, this is really interesting, and overall it's a really good read. And it's the first book I've read in 2 years, because I've just been researching myself, so I didn't have time to read books. But I thought I recommend it to purchase and actually to read it as such, especially when you want to know about the background in Dallas as such. It doesn't waffle on about the CIA, all the time. It actually says like what's happening locally, and how actually explosive the situation actually was in that time. Now anyway, I can talk here for another hour, but I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to let Gayle take over. And first of all, I'll start with a question, and I'm going to let you do most of the talking, but the question here is, you released your book on your granddad's film 4 years ago.
I did. Here, look.
There you go, that's it.
Yes.
Yeah, the missing.
Lucky strike.
Yes. The question is here, what made you actually come up with a follow-up for this? And the follow-up question for that is to get the other authors involved as well. What was the idea behind that?
Oh my. Alright. First off, hello, and thank you for having me. And I hope you can take the Texas accent, and I hope that you can understand what I'm saying. And if you can't, say, hold up, and I will back up. Now, the reason why I wrote this book, I've already forgotten what the first question was, but the reason why I wrote this book is because during my research, well, I've been around the Kennedy assassination my whole life. My grandfather took the whole movie, and I have met and talked to people all my life, and I have been interested all my life, because my grandfather, from day one that he got his film back, said there was something wrong. There was something going on. Well, that piqued my curiosity even as a child, and it followed through my adult life. Now, why I wrote this book. I had such an interest in the people of Dallas that were not talked to by the Warren Commission and by the church committee and by the House Select Committee, and I kept thinking, why? I mean, why did we not talk to the Larry Schmitz and the Bernie Weissmans and of the world? Why? And why do we not know more about the anti-Castro Cubans? And why was the Warren Commission so after Father McCann, and why did he leave the church? And who was he? And so I thought, well, if I'm that interested, surely there's someone else out there that's as interested as I am, I hope. And luckily there have been. As far as why I asked the other people to do it, I have great respect for Doug Campbell and what he does with his Spreaker podcast. I think he does great work. James Wagenborg, I mean, come on, to me, that was just a coup. He worked for Timeline. He was involved in ways. He is a genuine first-person witness. Chris Galley, what can I say about this wonderful man? You guys are so lucky to be there with him and talk to him. He knows more about my grandfather's film than I do. I'm telling you now. I love this man. He is a wonderful friend. He is an astute researcher, and I just can't say enough about him. And now who am I forgetting? Steve Rowe. Okay. I thought I would do something that a lot of authors never do, and that is include a lone nutter aspect, or the way they look at it, in a conspiracy book, because I obviously believe there was a conspiracy, but Steve doesn't. And I have always wondered why there are so many men and women who say there was no conspiracy, yet they want to argue with those of us that believe that there were. Come on, it's because deep down, and this is me playing amateur psychologist, you know that they know that there was. They have questions, or why would they waste their time talking to those of us who do believe it, right? I mean, that's what I think. So did I answer that question fully enough, or was that good, bad?
No, it's good.
Understand?
No, that's pretty good. Thanks very much. Can you tell me,
What?
can you tell me about Larry Schmidt? Did you hear that?
I did tell you about Larry Schmidt,
Yes.
right?
Yes, please.
Wow. You guys are all familiar with, and I'm going to try really hard not to be too opinionated, but I am. And I don't know any of you guys out there except Bart, and I really don't know him that well, but I'm kind of opinionated. Larry Schmidt reminds me of Roger Stone. Do you guys know Roger Stone? I mean,
Oh, yes.
Really, or
Oh,
not?
yes.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
no?
Yeah, we know.
Okay.
Infowars.
The person that Roger Stone is what Larry Schmidt would have been in the 60s with General Walker and Barry Goldwater. And now, when I say that, I don't say that as a positive thing. Okay, Larry Schmidt wanted to take his vision of Coosa and take it and make money from it and rule whoever, and I'm saying rule because it's true, whoever the next president would be for the next 16 years. That's what he told me. And that's what Roger Stone has done his whole life. So when you think of Roger Stone, think of Larry Schmidt, and they are of the same ilk. He is a man who is very, very kind and was very nice to me. I can't tell you all I've spoken with him for the last 2 or 3 years, 3 years, and he is very kind to me. But it's odd to me, you guys, that this is a man who worked for the military as a PR person. And then he came back to Dallas, and he immediately gets in with General Walker of the John Birch Society, the rich Texas oil man, and has got a big name, and is all of a sudden, moving up the ladder, okay, per se. He's friends with Joe Brennan, who is one of the richest men, not as H.L. Hunt rich, not Clint Murchison rich, but one of the richer oil men in the area. And I don't even know where to start. There's so much to say about him. One of the things that I think is key in the book, that if you haven't read it, I hope you do, and if you want to know more, please email me and I will talk to you about it, but is that after the assassination, he went to Cuba, you guys, on the advice of professors from the University of Dallas, and worked for the MRR, Manuel Artime, and the MRR there in Miami. And one of the people he ran around with, in fact, he told me a story about him, was Bernardo de Torres. Now, are y'all familiar with Bernardo de Torres? You are? Good. Yeah. Most people aren't. When I talk about it, a lot of people are like, okay, so you know that Bernardo de Torres worked for Garrison. There's rumor that he killed people when he was in New Orleans. He was a former baseball player. And he was very patriotic towards his Cuban homeland. Very. So he worked with Larry for the MRR, and Larry told me a story about how they both had on their little MRR shirts, and Bernie he called him Benny, but carried a baseball bat. And they went down the beaches of Miami flirting with the women, and they saw a guy walking around with a placard saying, Viva Fidel, totally Fidel Castro supporter. And that Larry told me that Bernie got his baseball bat out and beat the hell out of this guy. Just beat him up right there in public on the Miami beaches. And then afterwards, several of the people bought him a beer, and the women were all just really impressed. That's one little anecdotal story. So, but I find it odd that there's Larry Schmidt involved with all of this, with the Kennedy assassination before, with Walker, the Adlai Stevenson event. He's the one that wrote the Welcome Mr. Kennedy ad. And then he goes and works for the MRR, which we all know is CIA based and CIA funded. And then he leaves and comes back to Dallas and is asking Earl Lively and several of the wealthier people here in town to donate to the MRR. And the next thing you know, he's in Nevada with Howard Hughes and Howard Hughes' group. Now, is he Forrest Gump, you guys? What the heck is going on here, What is going on? And he swears up and down, it was just coincidence. Yeah, right. It's a coincidence, really, that you're with all of these people, and the people in Watergate, and the people that are in the movie Casino. I don't know if y'all seen it. It's an older movie, a Martin Scorsese movie, and he bragged to me that he knew all those people personally in that movie. I don't know. Is he just one of those people like Roger Stone that likes to promote himself, or is there much more to him? Now, in much of my research, I had found that Patsy Swank, who was a reporter for Look magazine and had done a big article on them in '65, she had told people that he had told her that he worked for the CIA. I asked him that, and he said no, and just laughed in my face. But she had also mentioned that he had told her that he had the truth, and had put it in 3 separate safety deposit boxes that would be open until after he was gone. I don't know how much truth there is to that. I don't think there was any, honestly, because I asked him about that too, and again, he laughed. He's older now, and he's got Parkinson's disease, and he's in really ill health. Not that I'm in the greatest of health, but he's in worse off than I am, and there's just more to him. He has gotten to that point in his life where he's got grandchildren, and they are involved in the military, and he doesn't want them to look at him and think that he was this bad guy. I mean, he wants them to look at him as this wonderful grandfather who did his patriotic duty and was. So there's a lot of that hubris, I should say, grandfatherly hubris, that is keeping him from saying things that I think that he would, you know? When I asked him, you know, Dick Russell wrote in The Man Who Knew Too Much, he wrote that Larry Schmidt and his brother Robbie shot at General Walker with Oswald. I don't believe that one iota, one at all, and especially after doing the research for this book.
The question is about the Walker assassination attempt. Yeah, it's very hard. It's very hard to pinpoint this actually on the Oswald. The only thing that speaks for Oswald's guilt, so-called guilt, is Marina Oswald's testimony 5 months later for the Warren Commission. Other than that, there is a lot of actually contradictory evidence and sightings and witness statements that basically point to two people instead of one person, that they went away in a car and so forth. Can you tell us a little bit about this?
Okay, I have two theories, and notice I'm saying theory. It doesn't mean truth, okay? It's theory. Thank you, dear. I have two theories. One is that you guys might get really upset with me when I say this, but one theory is that I believe that Oswald was working with General Walker and Surrey and those guys. I do think so. If you look, you notice that in his notebook, he has numbers that he can relate, he knows those guys, and that's one theory that I have. So, was Walker doing his normal, wanting to be in the public eye, the Trump-like stuff? I mean, is that what he was doing? And he used Oswald and Surrey to do that, was he? Or my second theory is that, again, Oswald knew these people, and that this was pre-set up. But that one I don't think is true, because no one mentioned that Oswald was made an assassination attempt on Walker until after the assassination. I mean, why wasn't it said before? You know what I mean? Why wasn't there any indication before? And Marina was just trying to stay in America, if you ask me. In Dallas, you know? And of course, she had Ruth Hayden helping her along. So, now you're asking me, do I think Oswald was there? Maybe. There was enough evidence to show that maybe, but do I think that he was trying to shoot at Walker to actually kill him? No. Do I think that, did he even take a shot? No. I just think that they all knew each other. I do. I believe that even more so now after writing this book.
Right.
So.
Okay. Now, the other...
I don't know if that was a help.
No, that's cool. The other interesting person in this book is Robert Surrey, the Surrey family. Can you hear me? Okay, let's try that again. Can you tell us about the Surrey family? Robert Surrey.
Goodness. Do y'all know this? Do y'all know Madame New? Madame, the Dragon Lady? Do y'all know about her?
No.
Okay. She was the sister to the Vietnamese president. Any of you guys, y'all know? Robert Surrey's wife met her at the airport in '63, and their daughter presented her roses. Now, how does the printer for General Walker, his aide-de-camp's wife, meet a diplomat at the airport and present her roses? How did that happen? It's not like she was an important junior leader diplomat in Dallas. But there she was, meeting with them. That's one thing that's always bothered me. But Robert Surrey, y'all, oh my God, it is so, I don't even know, again, where to,
Start at the beginning.
where's, Robert Surrey pled the fifth, how many times in the Warren Commission? Over 50? I mean, and how many other people did that at the Warren Commission? But Robert Surrey did. He was the American Nazi secretary. I mean, he was for the Nazi Party in America. And from what his sons tell me, that was the falling out between Walker and Surrey was because of his Nazi leanings. I don't know. His wife was one of those women who push their husbands to do their bidding, but make it look like it's the husband's idea. My dad always said that was the smartest thing a woman could do. I don't know. I don't do that with my husband. So I don't know. But Robert Surrey, I believe, and again, and notice I'm saying believe, and it's a theory, worked for an intelligence agency. That's what I believe. And I say that because in talking to his son, he told me that after they moved, and right after George Lincoln Rockwell was assassinated, or killed himself, the lady that bought their home could not move into the home for 2 weeks later because the FBI came in to get their electronic buggy equipment out. So I sent a request, an FOIA request, asking for that information. If there were bugs there, then that means there were tapes there, and that would be great to hear because they were there for years. Which means the FBI would have been listening to the Nazi meetings, they would have been listening to the John Birch meetings, and they would have all kinds of data and all kinds of evidence. The Surreys, after they left Dallas, went off to Florida. No one even knew where they were for a couple of years. And they showed up again in Florida where they owned a health food store. And in fact, their eldest daughter, Robert Surrey's stepdaughter, still runs that store. And when I spoke to her about her handing flowers to Madame New and about her dad being in the Nazi Party, I mean, she didn't want to be on record and she didn't want to be a part of this book. But the Surrey sons were more than willing to talk about everything that they knew. And the most outrageous story, I vacillated. I mean, should I add this to the book? Should I check this out? Was that when they were small, when they were younger, they would go with General Walker and their dad and Lee Harvey Oswald out to a rural area of Dallas and shoot. I mean, just shoot their guns. And their jobs as kids were to pick up the cartridges. They go, this is Texas. There's not really a need to be picking up cartridges, okay? Everybody and their brother has a rifle and a gun. It's true. I mean, we don't have one, but I mean, most everyone does. And they definitely did in the 60s. And I thought it was so strange. I was like, what? What do you mean around shooting? And are you sure it was Lee Harvey Oswald? And are you sure? Oh, well, most definitely. And we went to his house, and we went to the elder Surrey's son, I think, was confused, and of course he was dying. But he talked about Lee Harvey Oswald's wife, Martina, and said that he had played with Lee Harvey Oswald's son. Well, I mean, we know that there wasn't a son, and his wife's name was not Martina. But that's what he said. And I've got all of that on tape, you guys. If y'all want to be on my email list, and if you'll email me after this, I'll send you a copy of the video so you can see them yourself. So you can see what I saw the first time going, what? I mean, because there's craziness out there. There's people who say that they knew things about the Kennedy assassination. You research it, it's not true. I mean, you can't find evidence. And so when I started writing about this story and researching it, I was trying to figure out if these guys were telling the truth. And I tell you, I found more truth than I found mistakes. So it's very, very interesting. Robert Surrey is much more important to the JFK story than most people know. Am I boring you guys?
No, not at all. Not at all. We're listening. We're all in awe.
I like you like the guy back there in the black hair.
Don't you worry. No, it's all cool.
You need another beer? Anyways, anybody have a single malt scotch? That's my drink. Anybody? There you go.
Okay, can we talk?
That's what I'd be having to do there.
Can we talk about the Cuban element in Dallas, chapter 6 in your book?
Bart, just keep breaking up.
Sorry.
Just hold up.
I hear.
Tell us.
It's like beatboxing.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's the connection.
It's the CIA.
Tell us about the Cuban element in Dallas.
It's an
The
assassination.
Cuban element in Dallas.
The Cuban element in Dallas, right?
Yes. Tell us
Father
about it.
McCann. Father McCann was the head of the Dallas Catholic Cuban Society, refugee group. And so he took the confessions of the Catholic Cubans that were in his parish, which there were many. And guess who else was in his parish, y'all? Guess. James Hosty.
Huh.
I didn't impress all of that.
Yeah?
Y'all didn't think that was cool?
Yeah?
Hosty, I mean, and you know what? Here I'm going off track. You're asking about the Cuban element.
Yes.
But when I asked Father McCann about the FBI guys and the Secret Service guys who came to see him, he said they didn't come see me. It was James Hosty. Really? I mean, I think that's really important. I'm sorry. I do. I just think. And Hosty was well, Pitt Jones says, was bridge partners with Surrey. So there you got, see, look, there's connections. See, you got Surrey, Hosty, McCann, the anti-Castro Cubans. They were a big group in Dallas. Father McCann said that the wealthier ones, like Sylvia Odio, which, by the way, I want to share this with y'all while I'm thinking about it. Look, can you see that? Can you see it?
Yeah.
There's Sylvia Odio. Look, you know when this was published? Do you know when she wrote it?
No.
2014.
Wow.
And I can't find her. I called the publisher. I called the printer trying to get in touch with her to talk to her about this book, and I just couldn't do it. But Father McCann knows her very well. In fact, he alluded to a intimate relationship with Sylvia Odio, Father McCann, and was with Lucille Cannell, who was a junior leaguer in Dallas. When I say junior league, do y'all know what I mean by that? That's a society type women.
Yeah.
Whose husbands are very wealthy and they go into philanthropic things for people in the community. But okay, the anti-Castro Cubans, Father McCann told me that many of them were wealthy. I mean, when they came from Cuba, because they were friends with the Batista or the Prio regimes. So they were wealthy and brought their things hidden in their socks or tips of their shoes or their diamonds and all. And so they used that money to try and move themselves ahead in the Dallas community. A lot of them didn't, though. A lot of them worked for the Curtis Mathis TV and radio station building, but they all knew each other. And they would all congregate at White Rock Lake or many of the other areas in Dallas every 3 months or so. So when Sylvia Odio said that Lee Harvey Oswald and 2 Mexicans came to her door, Father McCann was aware of it because she had called him and told him about that. And the reason why he asked and why he remembered it is because the very same night that these people came to her door, she said she was going to a gala in Fort Worth where Janet Lee was going to be, and Father McCann remembers because Sylvia was going with Lucille Cannell, and he was upset that they didn't invite him. He wanted to go. So he was a very social priest. Does that help you, Bart?
Yeah, it does.
Information?
Yeah, it does. But have you got any more about that? Because the thing is there any I haven't read the chapter myself yet, but is there any connection between anti-Castro Cubans and, say, the GI Forum, the Cubans that were there?
Are there any actual connections with the Cubans and what?
The GI Forum.
Not to my knowledge, I didn't find any evidence of it at all. And Father McCann said, he believed Sylvia Odio, but he never saw Lee Harvey Oswald. Larry Schmidt said he never saw Lee Harvey Oswald. Bertie Weissman said he never. And Kiki Masperger, who was another anti-Castro Cuban, but was a Batista supporter. The ODOs were Creo supporters. So you have this little political thing going on here in Dallas too among the Cubans. So, but all of these people that I talked to, every one of them, none of them knew Oswald except the Surrey sons. The only ones that said that they had ever met him. So no, I didn't find any. I don't know about Lee Harvey Oswald. I don't know. I hope I'm not going to offend two people when I say I don't look at that man as a hero. I don't.
Oh, no.
I don't see him as a hero.
No, I don't either.
But, okay, I hope I'm not going to offend any of you, but I also don't think that he is a lone assassin. I don't really know if he even took a shot, you know? That doesn't mean that he shouldn't have been tried for his what he knew and this stuff. But I just don't think that it was him. And I'm almost 60, so that's for years of research and being around people who were there, and that's what I think. So, what do you guys think? Do y'all think Lee Harvey Oswald did it, acted alone, is a hero? How many say hero? How many people say he's a hero? Wait, raise your hand.
Yeah.
This guy, whoever this is.
I've got two people.
Three of you think he's a hero? Well, I agree with you, Bart, and I'll tell you something else. I believe, especially after doing this research, that Larry Schmidt, I think there were probably, no one ever talks about this, but I think that there were probably a group of little patsies to lay this on, and not just in Dallas. I mean, I think there was probably in Fort Worth, Florida, and probably in Chicago. In the Dallas area, I totally and will die believing that Larry Schmidt, Bernie Weissman, and those little Coosa boys, that they were next in line to be Apaches. I swear, I do. And I think that they were being motivated by the rich powers that be here in Dallas, who had military-industrial complex connections. General Walker. Do y'all know that General Walker was friends with the Kennedy's top advisor, Maxwell? Can you hear me? Maxwell Taylor. I mean, they were all friends. Oh gosh, I get so upset when I start thinking about it because I can see all these connections and all these patterns and all these, and no one talks about them. No one in the JFK community, we don't work together to say, oh my God, here are new facts that we can prove. Let's put this puzzle together. Nobody wants to do it. I hope that you guys aren't part of that. I mean, I hope that y'all over there in the UK are smarter than us over here. And are saying, yeah, we need to put this together, you know? Yeah. I mean, I really do. I really do. Knowing Chris Kelly, I believe that you guys are. I mean, y'all seem to work together, you know? It doesn't happen over here. It just doesn't. Everybody goes into their own little game war type status and says, whoa, I believe this and so you're stupid, or I believe this and this can't be right. Well, you can't do it that way. You have to say, okay, here's what we know, and start throwing out what we know and what we don't know, and what we can prove and what we can't prove, and go from there, you know? So you agree?
Yeah,
agree?
We agree. I mean, myself, the funny thing is that from my latest work, I got more cooperation from two guys who believe that Oswald did it than actually people that believe in the conspiracy. When it comes to identifying people from the Dallas police and the FBI and so forth, with Steve Rowe and with Dennis Morissette, I got more.
I know both of them.
Yeah, I got more information from them with regards to the identities and so forth than anyone else. Because
doesn't that make you mad, Bart? Doesn't it make you so mad? It makes me so mad. Okay, whatever. I mean, go away. And you don't want to work, and you don't want to work together. Go away. You know, go away. I don't have time for it.
Yeah.
I don't.
I agree. It's a total waste of time. And
we are in a time, y'all. This is a closing window. These people are dying. I mean, the witnesses who can tell you they are dying. And if we do not talk to them and find out what they know and put it together and say, okay, are you full of it? Are you psychotic? Or are you really trying to share what you know? We're screwed, okay? Because that means we're going to have to depend on the records of the CIA and the FBI and the Secret Service and our freaking U.S. government. No. We've got to do what we can do. He's laughing and laughing. You agree, don't you? It's true.
Yeah, we do. Does anyone else have a question?
Yeah, can I?
Yeah. This is Barry. He's going to ask you a question.
Barry, are you very keen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Can you?
I can hug you. Okay.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you for talking to us today.
And thank you for coming, Barry. Thank you for coming.
It's been a real pleasure, and I want to thank you for your commitment to this case. It's really important to all of us here. And thank you for your glasses. They're really cool.
Yeah.
Absolutely. My question to you, Gayle.
Very. I'm sorry to interject.
Okay.
My husband said I shouldn't wear them so they were too distracting, so watch. Wait. I don't care. I like to be distracting. Oh, here they are. Look. These are my everyday glasses, Barry. Look. See, I wish I didn't have to wear glasses at all, but he told me I should wear those.
They're okay. They're fine.
They're good.
I look more like a professor.
You look good in either pair.
Thank you.
My question to you is that do you think that the death of JFK has changed attitudes in Dallas or in Texas? Did it do anything? Has any good come out of the fact that this man was murdered in your state?
You know what, Barry? I have sent letters to our mayors over the years and saying, why can we not just face what happened here and get to the truth and talk about it? And they want to still move away and act like it really didn't happen. And can you imagine the Germans saying that there was no Holocaust? Can you imagine? I think that we need to face it here, but no, they're not going to do it. They think it brings a pall upon our city, that it brings and it doesn't. These things happen, and history happens. And yes, we had slaves, and yes, we had a confederacy. These things happen. Well, what they're doing over here now are taking away the statues and all that. That's all fine and good, but it's not going to erase history. That happened. These things happen,
Absolutely.
I can't get anyone in Dallas to help me
You can't bring up history.
politically with trying to find my grandfather's film. I can't. I've never been able to. The only one is Robert Blakey with the House Select Committee. And he says he will take full responsibility for it being lost.
Well, the other thing I want to say, the best of luck with your granddad's film back, and don't give up. I'm sure you will, because you're the kind of feisty lady that will never give up. And we love you for it. Thank you.
Wow, thank you. And thank you. It's very good to be here.
Oh, and you too. We should be here in person.
Speaking of
you Mark made my day. Aaron's always been so nice. I'm so glad to meet him. Thank you.
Pleasure's all ours. Regarding your granddad's film, there are, Chris Scally drops a few hints, and I think you have as well, about who actually has the original. And there are, your point of, Chris Scally's pointing the finger that Robert Groden might have it.
Well, okay, I'm going to be honest with you, Bart, and y'all, here I am. I'm going to upset y'all again. I know I am an opinionated woman. I just am. I just am. And I have dealt with people, and it bothers me when people aren't transparent with one another. My agenda has been and always will be trying to find my grandfather's original film. There have been people that say, what does it matter? What does it matter? Well, I don't want to cuss, but it matters. It freaking matters. We cannot prove whether there was someone or there wasn't someone on the known without the original film. We can't do it. There's too much room for error. There's too much. Why do people not understand this? Why do you not get it? But I have had people who lead conferences in Dallas say, why is she so upset about copies everywhere? She's got a first generation copy. It's true, I do. But David Lifton, Steve Barber, who's a lone nutter, Harrison Livingstone, who fought with him all the time. See, there's all these little things you have to add into. All suggested that he took it when he worked for the House Select Committee. Okay? Mo Whiteman said that that's what he did. So me, being the opinionated, pushy Texas broad that I am, I went to his home when he lived in Philadelphia, and when he was married to his first wife before she died. And I asked him, point blank, Bart, like you and I are talking right now, I said, okay, Robert, do you have my film? I mean, if you have it, just give it to me. I am not gonna prosecute you. I'm not gonna just give you my freaking films. And he said, I don't have it, Gayle. Okay. So I went in there to his wife, who was in the kitchen and was very quiet and very nice on the end. And I said to her, I said, okay, Chris, I hate to pull you in the middle of this. I hate it. It's like asking, is your husband having an affair? I don't like it. I mean, doing this, but do you think that Robert knows where my film, does Robert have my film? And Bart, she looked straight down at the ground and wouldn't answer. Now, what does that tell you guys? What does that tell y'all? You know? I mean, I'm not a dumb blonde. I got the message that she was trying to push there, but if he does have it, he's got it hidden, and he's not letting it out to this big, broad, Texas broad woman talking and screaming, you know? Now, what Chris and I, where we have a problem, is my grandfather said from the very beginning, told us, our whole family, that when he got it back from the FBI, it was different. I mean, from day one. And you all need to remember, the FBI didn't get my grandfather's film until after they had had this Zapruder film for a week. Because my grandfather had gone to a football game and it filmed my future aunt at the football game, at the football game. So he didn't turn it in to have it even developed until a week after the assassination. So the FBI had it from December 1st to December 4th. 4 days, even in the 60s, that's enough time to move it. I am so sorry.
Don't worry.
Oh my God.
It's all good. Don't worry.
Anyway, they had it for 4 days, and when my grandfather got it back, he said, there's something weird about this film. It's not the same. It's darker, it's jumpy, and it looks like it just doesn't look right. And me, as I got older, being a smart mouth teenager, I was like, well, Papa. I mean, you only saw it, you know, on a wall at a developing place for, you know, he goes, Linda Gayle, if I know my film, I know my film. I know that you're my granddaughter. I know that your grandmother is my wife. I know my film, and that is not the same film. He said it from the beginning. So, Chris and I are trying to decipher or find some smoking gun that says, you know what? We took it to Rochester, New York. I mean, we're trying. And because there is a chance that they did. There's a chance that they did. That they took my grandfather's film, spliced it, did whatever. I want y'all to remember something when in regards to my grandfather's film. Okay, he only had a 4th grade education. Okay, he was just like a glorified janitor for the General Services Administration, which is a governmental group that does he was the maintenance on the air conditioners for the FBI building and the CIA building and the Secret Service building. That's what my grandfather was. I mean, I had to stop because I don't want to cry. I still cry even after all these years. I cry about it all. But he used indoor film when he should have been using outdoor. Y'all need to remember he had a 4th grade education. It's not like he had degrees like I have or like you guys have. I mean, he had a 4th grade education. But think about this. Roly Zavada said this to me, and it has stayed with me to this day. With indoor film, you get more light in, right? I mean, when you're taking pictures with indoor film, the film lets more light in. So why would his film be so dark using indoor film? right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just logic. That's not Socratic reasoning. When you say,
Yeah.
Yeah, we should have been overexposed
Okay.
in London.
I mean,
Yeah.
I just think, I don't understand why more people don't jump on the Nix train bandwagon with me and say, give up the freaking film. Give us the Nix film. Give it to us. Where is it? I mean, I don't understand why more people aren't jumping on that with me, but they don't. Uh-oh, I lost the ear thingy.
Again.
Earbud.
What's the best copy that you have right now?
A first generation, and it's a first generation from the FBI, mind you. I mean, it's not even the first generation that UPI gave my grandfather. And the best I have is from the FBI.
Right. And what's happening with your
Very frustrating.
Yeah, I bet. What's happening with your court case against it?
You know, the good news is here, okay? The first case that we filed, the judge said, no. It should be filed in this court that you filed it in. This needs to be in the court of claims. Do you know what that means, guys?
No.
No. Okay. Any of you guys lawyers? I mean, I did not. You're a lawyer? Okay. So do you know what that means when it's filed, or it's probably different in the UK than it is over here? But what that means is that there's a case here, but it's not filed in the right court. It needs to go to the court of claims, and the court of claims means it needs to have a dollar value, and it needs to see, they need to see what kind of damage there is here. Now, I have no idea what this film is worth to you guys. I have no idea.
Priceless.
I don't know where to begin to put a price on it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yes. You've got
okay.
a precedent because you know how much the other film sold for. So that's your precedent.
And so that's how I use it, like using the other films, which is going to be the Zapruder film, don't you know?
Yeah, that's
it.
what I mean. So
Yeah.
you use that as a precedent of how much they ended up paying Zapruder.
Well, they paid the Zapruder family in 1999, I'm sorry, 1992, $19 million, including attorney fees. That was 92.
There you go. I bet you'd rather have...
I'm gonna tell y'all the truth. For me, and okay, my sister and my brother don't agree with me, and obviously my teenage son doesn't agree with me. I would much rather just give me the film. Seriously, forget the freaking money, give me the freaking film. I mean, that's what I want. And I want to prove, yes, there was someone there, or no, there wasn't. That's me. That's what I want to do. I don't care. I mean, if I cared about how much the film was worth, I would have sold it in 1999 to this really rich guy in Chicago who wanted to buy it from me and offered me $500,000. That was,
Wow.
And I said no. I said, and I did. I said no. No. I'm trying to find the original film. Maybe we'll discuss then after we find the original, but I want to know. I want to know. And this would put it into one of the many rumors, mysteries, theories about the JFK assassination. Is finding the original Nix film. Okay, wait. Let me see if I got you. I'm trying to use contextual clues, okay? Do you think there's a difference between my copy and the original?
Yes.
Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Okay. I never saw the original part. I mean, when my grandfather and my dad, they're the only ones that saw the original, as did Dynacolor, as did UPI. You know, I mean, I didn't see it. I was just a little kid. So, I will tell you this. The copy that Gary Mack, had first generation copy, that he had that he took and made for the Lost Tape, that dumb show on one of the history or Discovery channels.
Yeah.
Yo, it has a huge splice in it.
Right.
A splice.
Yeah.
And I saw that. And that's a first generation copy of my grandfather's film. My grandfather didn't splice it. Who did that? You know? So, there's that.
Yeah. Okay.
It's one of those Sherlock Holmes, what's the Agatha Christie's guy, 12 Row? It's one of those big mysteries that I wish that I was a better speaker and I could convince someone to help me. Well, Chris, I've got Chris Scally who won. is the best. But, I mean, a real private investigator who would say, okay, we're gonna find this, we're gonna do it. My attorney, I think he's wonderful. He's in Washington, D.C. I'm spitting everywhere. He's in Washington, D.C. right now, and I probably shouldn't be saying this. Oh, I better not. But you know, so I'm going to give you all contextual clues, okay? You know, in America right now, that our president, okay, the president, yeah, the current president, I say that,
Mr. Trump.
has got this big
Yeah.
fight against the FBI,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Sure it does.
So my attorney thinks that could benefit us. So that's the only contextual clue I can give you right now, but you can probably put that together, right?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
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 Right.
So that's what he's trying to do. I don't go for all that, so I'm glad I don't know any of that. I'm glad that I don't know, but I do know that much, that that's what's going on. And so I'm really hoping that we're gonna have an answer to that this year, Bart, and Barry, and you guys. I'm really hoping that we're gonna know something. One of the caveats that I put in the lawsuit is that the government has to allocate. One way or the other, they have to allocate. I want to know. And I want America to know. And I want the UK to know. And I want the world to know what they did. Because if they did it to my grandfather's film, I assure you, they did it to lots more stuff. You know? I assure you. And we all know there's missing evidence everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Right? Ooh, I get very passionate about this, can y'all tell? We got, oh God, give her a beer. give her a single malt. Vote her off. No, I'd be worse.
Okay, is anyone else who's got a question?
Yeah, I've got one.
Yeah, Russell?
Yeah.
First.
Hi, Gail.
This is Russell.
Hi, Russell.
How you doing? Earlier on, you said that we need to talk to the witnesses.
Right.
Who do you think are the most important witnesses left?
Marina.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I think what someone should do is go talk to her with a psychologist or a forensic investigator that can understand between lying and between
Well, that's
truth.
true, isn't it?
That's what I think.
She lied a lot.
What?
She lied a lot.
Yeah, that's what I think. That's what, but that's, I mean, who am I? That's just my little thoughts, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I think. But I think Marina, I think that it's pretty sad that we lost Michael Payne recently.
Yeah.
I think that would have been a really, really, really good interview. And I'll tell you who else I think the people that I talked to are very important, and I still think that they got lots more to say. Sylvia Odio would be someone really good to talk to. Unfortunately, her sister Sarita, who I believe was more important than Sylvia Odio, she passed away too. So that's who I think are the important ones.
Well, Ruth Payne's still alive, isn't she? But she was.
Who?
Ruth Payne.
Yeah, but I think she is so submerged into her story and into her cover and into her. I don't know that we'll ever get anything out of her. I mean, I don't know. We might could. A better investigative reporter than me, you know? Maybe. Who do you think is most important to talk to?
Vessiana.
What?
How about
Vessiana. He would. I know somebody who'd be really, 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 really good, and I'm too scared to do it. I know two that I'm really too scared to do, and I almost did it. Bernardo de Torres, who is still alive, you guys, he is. He's still alive.
Wow.
Scary. And John Mason. Do you all know who he is?
Yeah. Thomas Mason. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Gun
Oh, my God.
Yeah, the gunshot.
Oh, my God. I'm too scared to talk to him. I know where he is. I've got his phone number, and I called him one time. I called him one time, and it had been in my youth when I did things that were probably not real legal. You know what I mean? I might have been better at talking to him, but I said, my name is Gayle Jackson. I didn't add the next part. And I said, I'm an English professor because I didn't lie about any of the things. And I said, I really want to talk to you about your memories of the 60s. That's how I said it. I don't have time for this right now. Who did you say you were? And are you sure you were? And I was like, okay, that's okay. He's very scary. That man is scary to me. Very, very scary. I know that the ATF guys were scared of him.
Frank Ellsworth.
Me?
Yeah.
John Mason?
Yeah.
Do you know who I'm talking about, Mark?
Yeah, Frank Ellsworth,
Okay.
the ATF guy.
Yeah. He would be good to talk to,
Yeah.
Russell.
John-
We should.
John Mason.
I'm too chicken.
John Mason was called a dead ringer for Oswald by Frank Ellsworth. He said, like, if you want to see a copy, because what it was that by the time Ellsworth came into the third floor interrogation room.
Why it would be good to talk to John Mason also is Jerry Hemming, Orrin Hall, Furman de Gocochea, the anti-Castro Cubans, General Walker, Jack Martin, who took the film. Oh my God, you guys. Y'all all know about that too, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure. Barry, I know you know. Jack Martin, who took the film, he was one of General Walker's soldiers. And he came to General Walker's home, right?
We're listening.
Yeah.
I want to say something. He came to General Walker's home, and right after Walker had supposedly been shot by Lee Harvey Oswald, and filmed it, you guys, filmed it. And then as you're watching the film, it shows him on an airplane, and the next thing you see is Oswald on Canal Street. Come on! I mean, that right there that's it. I mean, look, why are you at Walker's house showing that he was shot at, and then you're taking films of Oswald on Canal Street? Come on. Nah. I know in my heart of hearts, and I hope I get to go to heaven someday to find out, that Oswald and Walker knew each other. I just know it. I just know it, you know? And that, to me, that's as much evidence as you can think. I mean, why? You know what I mean? Why would that be? Do y'all think I'm crazy thinking those ways?
Yeah.
Barry, do you think I'm crazy?
No.
Isn't it interesting though?
It is interesting. I'm absolutely amazed that Marson is still alive because I've been reading about him in the last few months. And it's incredible that he was a gun dealer and he had a certain likeness of Oswald basically because
Not a whole lot though. He was really ugly and scary. I'm telling you guys, he's scary.
yeah, because Ellsworth.
Not that Oswald was handsome, please. I don't think that he was at all.
But Ellsworth.
I'm going to offend a bunch of you again. Are you ready? I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Let me apologize first.
That's all right. Don't worry. Ellsworth basically.
If I was in Oswald's mistress at 5 years old, I would never tell anyone. I'd be too embarrassed. Okay, that's all I want to say.
Right.
I just don't think. You know that man. You know that when you dated guys that you're not really, that you want people to know that you dated, you kind of put it back in the corners of it. I've had dates like that. There's no way I would tell anybody I ever dated Oswald.
Well, Ellsworth.
Yeah, he wasn't handsome. Sorry.
Ellsworth.
I wouldn't tell him Bill Fraser either, so, that's okay. Alright, sorry, accept my apologies for being offensive.
That's okay. I was just going to say that Ellsworth thought that Oswald was Marson, basically, when he walked into the interrogation, that Fritz was interrogating Oswald, and he thought, because he let Marson loose 2 days before, because they had a sting operation, an undercover sting operation, and they had to let him go 2 days before the assassination. So when 2 days later Oswald is sitting inside the interrogation, inside the room 317 at the robbery and homicide in Dallas, Ellsworth thought he really screwed up.
Right.
And in that sense that he basically, because he said Marson was a dead ringer for Oswald. He just had the likeness of...
They had the same hair, and they were about the same height, and they were very thin. So yeah, I mean, it's true, all those things. And that, Ellsworth, he would have, I wish I could have talked to him, oh my God. He would have been a really good one to talk to, Russell, because, I mean, knowing all of the things that he knew, and Hosty, and I'm telling you, so there is still so much to do in Dallas, y'all. There is still so much to do. And I'm too old to do it all myself, but my kids are like, oh, Mom, are you writing another JFK book? Can't you just work on the novel? I get all, I talk about it all the time and talk to these people and, there's still a lot to do, is all I would really like to say. And have any of you guys read my book? I know Bart hasn't. Thank you, Bart, for saying such kind things. Have any of y'all read it?
We will now. We will now.
They will now.
We will now.
I want to tell y'all something. If you want a hardcover, it's much cheaper to buy it on Amazon for Kindle or the paperback. But if y'all want a copy, I can sell you a hardcover if you email me, and I'll give you 25% off to cover the shipping, because I know that the shipping from here to there is kind of high. But if y'all want, I just wanted to tell you that. Yeah, just email me, and I'll do that. Tell me that you were here today and had to listen to me, and I'll do that for you guys.
Thanks very
And
much.
I'll give you a little cool thing too. I've got some. Look what I've got.
Bookmarks.
I don't have any of them out. I have these little bookmarks. Wait. And I'm very proud of these because it's. Let's see if you can see it. It's wood,
Yeah.
and it's got a little puzzle piece on it. There. Okay. And it says, can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah.
It says, one band can make a difference and everyone should try. I don't know where the camera is. Is that where it is?
Yeah, that's right. Hold it like that.
There.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, we can see it.
Thank you.
That's one of my favorite Kennedy quotes. I mean, I agree with that. I've always taught my children that. I've always told my students in the classroom, I mean, everybody can make a difference. Everybody can make a difference. There's no one more important in this case than another. We're all important and we all need to work together. You know, we do. So, okay, there you go.
Okay.
I am so excited until asked me to speak with you and that none of you have fallen over going, I'm so excited about that. I thought it was worried here. I did.
Thank you.
I did.
Thank you very much for your time and, talking to us.
Yeah.
And now,
One of these days, my daughter's going to be there next month. In May, she's going to be there. She's going to go visit Chris and Glenn. And do y'all know Francesca?
Yeah.
Francesca Akhtar, do y'all know her?
Yeah.
She's going to be staying with her for 4 days. So, and I can't go. It's her graduation present because she's graduating from college in May. So she's going to the UK. And I'm so excited and so jealous at the same time. I wish it were me. But it's her, so. If you see a brassy blonde who's much better looking than I am, guys, it's only 22. That's her. Her name's Taylor.
all right.
There.
Thank you very much. Go.
Before you go, Gayle. Cheers. Before you go, can you hear me? Before you
I
go,
can't hear you, Barry.
is that your granddad in the picture behind you?
It is here.
That's it.
Yeah, here, hold on. I get it.
That's him. That is him. That's Mr.
I've seen
Nix.
his picture before.
Wow.
You see?
I can, yeah.
Wow.
Hold on. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, hold on. I'm sorry. I am so technologically challenged. There he is.
Well, I'd just like to raise a toast to your granddad.
Bless your heart, Barry. I love your guts. Thank you.
Cheers. And for you, for everything you're doing.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Y'all are great. I hope to see y'all sometime.
Yes.